Hey, this is Steve Halleck at TikToking.com. Take a minute and subscribe to my channel, and definitely check out my website after this is done for a lot of other cool watches. But today I have a really underrated watch, I think, to show you. This is a Lange Perpetual calendar. It's the Langematik Perpetual calendar. And these have been around for a long time now, and they're sort of the unsung Lange. You know, you've got the Lange, the datograph, those get a lot of praise. But these perpetual calendars are super cool, very classically proportioned, beautifully laid out, really easy to use with the quick set button here for the date. And so I'll run you through it. But on the dial, you have a very traditional perpetual calendar layout, except you have the classic Lange oversized date up at the top here, which I find to be a really helpful addition to a perpetual calendar, because what you really want to know most often is the date. So to have to dig it out of these subdials is kind of a pain in the butt. So here you can see that it's indicating it is December 28, and it has it as Monday. The small hand here is a 24-hour clock, so you can see the time here is 7:13, and here it's showing you that it's 7 a.m. That's a 24-hour day-night clock. Down here you've got a seconds hand with a moon phase, and here you've got the month, so you can see it's pointing at December. Let me get the hour hand out of the way. December. Sorry, the minute hand. And here you have the year indication. So this is where you set if it's a leap year or not. Now again, the difference between a perpetual calendar and an annual calendar is that a perpetual calendar knows not only the 30 and 31 day months, but it also knows February and leap years. So it'll count the 28 or the 29 day leap years, which means that in theory, you never really have to reset it. So another cool feature, which you probably noticed when I changed the time here, is this has a hacking seconds hand. So what that means is that when I pull out the crown, the second hand immediately goes back to 0. And that's really helpful for precisely setting the time. So I'll show it to you now. So you see how it flew to 0, and that means that I can set the time exactly to the hour, and you can have it completely synchronized. So that's basically the time indications and the date indications. You've got the dial is sort of a cream color. I'm not sure how well it'll come out in the video. It's definitely not silver really, and it's not white. And the case of this particular one is yellow gold, which I normally don't love from Lange, but I feel like on this perpetual calendar is the best metal. The rose is a little bit too rose, and the yellow is just so classic for this really classic watch. And especially with the yellow gold indicators here, I think it works really well. Now, another one of the really practical functions of this watch is the date corrector. So if you watch my other Lange videos, you see this button, and the button is always used for the big date. But in the perpetual calendars, not only does it move the date or the day within the month, but it'll also move your day of the week, and it'll even advance you through the month if you're on the last day of the month. So that makes it really practical if you haven't worn the watch in a couple days and you just need to advance 1 or 2 days. So I'm making this video actually on December 30, so let's go to the correct date. So here's once. Now we're on Tuesday the 29th, and one more time, and now we're on Wednesday the 30th of December. So that's the current date. And then I would just come here and I would set the time, which I actually have no idea what the time is, but it's around 11 o'clock. I'm not going to stop the video to check. So let's say it's 11:15, and then we'd be set here. All right, now, one more spectacular part of any Lange is the back. And here we have a really beautiful micro rotor. I love micro rotors. I don't super love the aesthetics of most automatic movements, but micro rotors are just the coolest. So You may have seen my Laurent Ferrier micro rotor video. If you haven't, check it out. The Lange micro rotor is very unique and very cool. It's, first of all, really big for a micro rotor. And you know, normally these Langes have a 3/4 plate, which this watch does also. And so that means that all of this would just be one back plate. But they basically used the entire 3/4 plate to make a micro rotor. So you have that there, and the traditional super beautiful finishing of the Lange movements, including the engraved balance cock here. Now on the rotor itself, you can see that the middle section is 22 karat gold, and then it has a rim of platinum on the outside to increase the weight. And that platinum piece is held on by these blued screws there. And the rotor itself is engraved the whole way around. So it's a really beautiful movement, and it adds to this very, very high-end feel of this classic watch. I'll show it to you on the wrist. I believe the specs of this are 38.5 millimeters. Lange's sort of wear, I would say, a little bit big. It wears a little bit more like a 40. The lugs are pretty long, and the case is fairly thick. So it definitely does not wear like a small watch, which some 38s do. But you can see there, this is a super, super well-proportioned, very classic watch. And it's certainly pretty dressy, although I like to wear it a lot with jeans and a t-shirt, which it works really well with also. It sort of dresses the whole thing down. And I think you could play a lot with the straps and change the look of it a lot. This is a brown croc strap. If you put a black croc on it, it would be very, very dressy. And you could even probably put some leather straps on it to dress it down a little bit. So for those of you who are into super kind of high-end, luxury feeling, classic watches, this is the kind of most classic complication in a watch that it's very hard to find any sort of fault with. So again, this is the Langematik Perpetual calendar in yellow gold, and I hope you enjoyed it. Happy New Year, everyone.